Hey there, Orlando here with another contemplation of the jinkies that are transiting us in this period. So now it's time for a biggie. It's about the 60th jinky and the 56th jinky. So why they are so important? Because these two jinkies mark the end of an yearly cycle. So an yearly cycle of experience starts with the 41st jinki that will enter on the 22nd of January. So these are the last days. I'm recording on the 21st, so it's the last day of the 60th jinki and the 56th jinki. And it's a very good period to prepare ourselves for what comes next, because if we open ourselves to the experience, like the hero from the hero's journey, then we will really have good year ahead, a good yearly cycle. If we close, we'll feel the limitations, the shadow of the 60th jinki really hard on us, and of course will get us into hurt and suffering. So how I do these contemplations, let me put my phone into the, I don't know how to state in English. Yeah, to put some power in my phone because I forgot. Okay. So how I'm doing these contemplations, I let the jinkies that are transiting us for a few days, because they are transiting us, the jinkies in the positions of the sun and the earth are transiting us like for almost 6 days, and after 6 days another pair, and so on and so on. So I let them for 2, 3, 4 days to feel them, and then I write a contemplation, and after that I record a video for the international jinkies community, because the written contemplation is in Romanian, and it's long and it's very hard to translate. So I'm doing this video instead with the summary of what came up in the contemplation. And I feel that the revelations that came through these jinkies are really profound and will help anyone that is in the jinkies, even if it started yesterday, or maybe has lots of years of experiences. Because of course we can remember. So let's start with the 60th jinki, and for me it's about construction. For me it's about really building something that lasts. So people build their life based on things that are temporary, things that are really ephemeral. And so they see how the futility of all these things that they build their life around, because they use the exterior to build their life. But the 60th jinki is about the internal building of our life. It's the inner self. It's like body building, inner body building, we may say. How the 60th jinki work for me is through integration. Yeah, because when we integrate something, we then we have solid foundation from then on. So whatever we built on that solid foundation will last more if it doesn't have a very solid foundation. So everything is related to integration, and integration need experience. Yeah, because if we don't have experiences, if we look for sudden change, yeah, from this moment and this moment, from this to this, yeah, from I don't know, being very poor to having like millions of dollars or euros in like one day, will be very unstable. Will experience profound instability because we don't have the experience to back it up. So it's like instant fame, and we don't know what to do with that fame because we don't have a solid foundation for that, fame or whatever happens. Or yeah. So this is why we need experiences in our lives. We need to experience life. We need to have courage to experience what we have to experience. Because otherwise, have you seen how situations tend to repeat themselves? I don't mean like a cycle, until you understand on a cellular level why that situation repeats, and then you can transcend it in time. Have you seen them repeating until you break the cycle? So let me give you an example that is really down to earth, and it's really from what happens in reality, in the reality of relationships in this world, in the modern world mostly. So let's say that a person is in a relationship and has this wound of betrayal, let's say, because it's really obvious and you really can feel it, and doesn't want to be betrayed in the relationship that is in, but mostly in the primary relationship, in the relationship with his or her loved one. So let's say something happens, and that person feels betrayed by the loved one, because that person doesn't really want to feel betrayal, runs from betrayal, and most probably will leave that relationship. And of course, abrupt suffering will come, and will be difficult to enter in another relationship, because that person will ask himself or herself, what if I enter in another relationship and of course I'll be betrayed again? So let's say 2 or 3 years pass by, and that person didn't do anything to really understand that wound, but and didn't enter relationships, didn't date, just isolating from the world. So let's say that person meets someone and enter in another relationship, has the courage to get into that relationship, but surprise, surprise, in a short time will also feel betrayed by that other person. So now the suffering will be more and more abrupt, because felt that I found a person and I don't think this one will betray me, and of course betrayal happens, and will feel that the other person is like a persecutor, like a nasty person that wants to do harm. This example is applicable to any wound we have. If we run from our wounds, we'll get them. Because I feel that instinctively we have this inner mechanism because of evolution that says that everything that blocks evolution must be purified, must be deblocked, unblocked. So what happens is when we have a wound, let's say we have a wound of betrayal, we are really attracted only to the people that can activate that wound. Yeah, and it's applicable with every wound. So it's from us. We are attracted to those people because of this mechanism, because we want to evolve instinctively. But if our perception isn't razor clear, because the sixth gift, realism, is about a really good perception of life, and it's not like only from the head, it's from how we perceive with the whole being. It's how we perceive it in I don't know, um, in our inner self. It's very deep, this sixth jinki. So through realism, we understand that situation that we enter are there for us to evolve, to live better. Yeah. So when a person, this can help lots of people when they understand this, and when they really understand, because if I tell this, and I've told this numerous times to people that were hurting, and their perception was blocked by their hurt, and I said, okay, this happened to you to live better. Yeah. So those people wouldn't really understand me, and I understood also myself in by experience that I can't tell people this if they are not ready, because I won't do them any good. And that perception being so blocked, being so hurt by what happened, didn't see this. But when we have this razor clear perception, and we understand that we enter situations to live better, then we really have courage to live our life. Because otherwise, we get this, we find distractions. Yeah, the 56th Jinki's shadow. We find distractions to run away from our life, from our trials. Yet the 56th Jinki is from the Ring of Trials, is a stop kodan. So we can't run from our trials. Yeah, even if we distract ourselves, like in the example that I gave you earlier, that person that 2 or 3 years didn't date, didn't do anything but run from betrayal. Yeah, and life of course came back. Hey, you have this, you must purify yourself so you can evolve, so you can live better. So this is the justice from the 60th Siddhi. Yeah, life is just to us, life is loving to us, but in a just way. Yeah, not in letting our wounds rule our life. So this is for me realism. Yeah, this is like the clear perception that what happens to us is for our own benefit. So when I started my process, and I was into Zen, I read something that really changed my life, and it is like a saying from a Zen book that said, everything that is happening to you is the best thing that ever happened to you. So this really changed my perception, and it took me like 2 years, like almost 2 years, to really understand that, and to understand it here. Yeah, and I think 3 years from that period. Yeah, like 3 years to really understand that, and to integrate a part maybe of what, because I know I I have I'm not at the end. I have lots of things to integrate. Yeah, but I integrated sufficiently to understand that, and to live my life in another way that I lived then. And to have courage to enter in experiences, because experience is the only thing that purifies us, really. So this is why the 60th Jinki has this programming partner, the 56th Jinki, because if we only in the moment, yeah, when we say conscious stop on a cellular level to the reaction to the wound, we can really transcend it. Yeah, so this is what the 56th Jinki do as a stop kodan. It really helps us to put a stop to to the reaction, and of course to continuing the story of hurt. I'm going to get back on this because the 56th jinki is about story and storytelling and the story of our life, yeah, and the chapters of our life. So if we don't put stop, yeah, a conscious stop, not a mental stop. Mental stops are useless. Yeah, we can say stop to this, and we'll see that it's repeating. No, it's like feeling in every cell of our body. Stop. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to react from this anymore because I don't have why to do this, to react from this. Then we can really transcend, yeah, the wounds. So a stop is necessary, but not a mental stop. Yeah, we build our lives, the 60th jinki, we build our lives, we build our inner lives through integration. And integration comes from experience, yeah, from what we do. So what we do with our life, what we do with our hours, with our minutes, decide how and what we integrate. So this is why distraction, yeah, may really interfere with our life path, because if we are distracted by running, because distraction as a shadow is when we run from ourselves, when we run from our wounds. And when we do that, we don't really build anything in our inner body, yeah, our inner body's muscles. And so trials come and we are not ready. Yeah, this is why these two jinkis are so important, because it's like the last day when we prepare ourselves for a year-long journey. And what we put in our packs will decide what how we'll get through the trials in the next year. So if we get through limitation when we stop reacting to limitation, when we really just play our part in this story. Yeah. So if we struggle, like if we struggle like a fish, you know, like the fish that bit the needle, we get to be more stuck. You know, this is limitation. If we struggle, we'll be more and more limited. So what we can do is really accept those limitations and to know that limitations exist to mark our evolution, our process. And as we evolve, limitations drop. Yeah. So this limitation exists because we aren't capable to perceive what is beyond them. I think you observed how poor people have the tendency to remain poor because these people don't really can't perceive life beyond their poordom, yeah, poorness. So as the rich materialist people, I know the overly rich materialist people that can't really perceive life beyond their possessions. So as well as the spiritual person that can't perceive life beyond the higher frequencies. Anything can limit us. Yeah, the 60th jinki's shadow, the limitation, is everywhere. So we are limited by the profane and also by the divine. So we must be careful because there are traps everywhere. Yeah, and some traps can really be shiny, and we can get caught in them. So any tool, even the jinkis, of course, it's a tool, has this capacity to trap us. But you know what is really funny? That we are built to fall in these traps. Yeah, life is also a trap. We have been taught to perceive trap as being negative because, of course, we have the tendency to label everything in the extremes. But trap may be positive because a trap is challenging, makes you motivated, gets you a puzzle to solve, gets you to do something, and at the end, it offers you the reward of your own evolution when you observe that you are not affected by something that in the past really hit you hard. And so a trap leads to joy. So is really a trap bad or good? Yeah. Because when you perceive these traps, these limitations, yeah, of course, I'm talking about limitations like this. Um, can a limitation really trap you? Yeah, this is really something to contemplate. When you perceive traps as being not only negative but also positive, can really a trap you? um, so um, we need time. Yeah, we need time, we need patience, we need experience to get to that point. And when we feel that we've integrated and we feel we are no longer affected by something that affected us in the future. Um, Also, in my case, I'm also affected. I have some wounds that still affect me, but what I do is I just continue my path. I'm being more and more gentle with myself, and I use this gift of realism to guide me. I don't have it in my profile, but I really like it. It's from the Ring of Gaia. It's from what you're here to experience in on this plane, on this earth. So realism is very very important for me, and to really see things clearly, and not to see only with my eyes but with my whole being, to perceive more and more clearly, and accept that okay, I'm on my hero's journey and I'm not at the end. Destination is not so important as the road itself, because it can bring me lots of joy. Yeah. um, okay, so I'm going to continue with this idea. We are all going to fall on our hero's journey. Falling is necessary. Yeah, because when we fall so we can get up more, to rise like the phoenix. Yeah, to rise, to be more in our power, to be more powerful in inside. Uh, so it's like we fall into the fire of rebirth that really melts us to be modeled again into a new form, a better form. This is for me the message from the 60th Jinki. Yeah, to that we fall in the fire of rebirth that melts us to be remodeled into a new form, yeah, a better form, a higher form than before. So you don't have to be scared of falling. We all fall. Everyone falls because this is the mechanism. Yeah, we need to fall. There are people that seem they never fall, but these people only mask themselves better, but they fall also because this is life is just. The 60th city says it very simple. Life is just. Justice is embedded in life. So this is causality. We are all equal in front of life. Everyone with our challenges and our road. The only difference is our how we live inside of us, our the quality of our inner living. that of course gets into the quality of our outer living. So it's all about perception and the quality and the clarity of our perception. And to refine this perception, mental and emotional deconditioning become a must in these times. Mind is so bombarded constantly from outside, so we don't really understand who we are and the abilities and our native genius. So it takes time to really get to that inner genius, to let it shine, but the results come. I've seen this in my case. I've seen this in cases of people that started and continued their own process. Yeah, so results come. Some come fast, some come slower. It's all in the right rhythm. You know, we can't force something. We really need a very strong foundation. Yeah, so this is why we need experience. Yeah, so that experience gets us a really strong foundation, so we can grow from that point. Yeah, so if we build our life, so we build our life on really stable ground. Yeah, and not like our home falling from a storm. Yeah. So the maybe a question that will arise is, what do we do um, um, between the moments of realizing and the moment of integration, because these two moments may be apart from each other. You know, when we realize, yeah, something is not happening as we wish, and the moment of integration when we really transcend that thing. Yeah. So this is a very good question to contemplate, yeah, because this is where the 56th gene key comes. And I think the 56th English is very hard to pronounce, this 56th. I'm Romanian, so we don't have these sounds in our language. So the 56th gene key is about the story of our life. This is a gene key of the storyteller. This is a gene key of the uh, detail of the story and the mastery to change the rhythm or to get to the next thing at the right moment. You know, to have a flowing story. Yeah. You know, if you read a book or watch a show, a TV show that uh, you know, if you read a book and you read like 100 pages and that story doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, and the characters aren't really being consistent, because some authors stay like 100 pages to really build their characters, but no character building, just I don't know, 100 pages of a story that doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, this is how sometimes our life looks when we don't act from this 56th gene key and we don't stop things that are distracting us. Yeah, so this is where the mastery of the storyteller can be seen. And you know, a good storyteller is a storyteller that offers sufficient time for the characters to develop, but the story goes, you know, because what this storyteller does is put the characters in experiences, not just telling about them, but puts these characters in the experiences that defines them. Yeah, so this 56th gene key is about putting ourselves in experiences so we can continue in a flow our life story. Because if we get stuck, you've seen it's very hard to get unstuck. It's very hard to put a stop to a pattern that you've lived like 5 or 10 years inside, a pattern that doesn't really bring you joy, but is like it shields me from experience and from hurt. And you've seen it doesn't help us. So the 56 gene key is about, for me, and I've seen this happening today really, with my life partner, with Anna, to and I've seen, because she has two of these 56 gene keys in her profile, and I've seen a shift in her being. I felt a shift in her being that came at exactly the right time, because if that shift didn't occur, the situation would not be really joyous. And she made that shift and made and really created a joyous outcome for her. So I've seen this in action, and I feel this scene was for me to understand, and of course for her. But I really felt the 56 gene key, and I really knew, okay, wow, shift. So the 56 gene key is about the shift we make in our stories, and the shift to get to the next chapter, and not to stay in the same chapter. So some people's lives are like only one chapter, and don't really go anywhere because of the same patterns of distraction, and they aren't really living their hero's journey. Yeah. So thank you, Anna, for showing me this. This was a really important breakthrough for me when I understood that the 56 is about the shift. So when we do this shift, we really live our life, and we do this shift not mentally, because she didn't do it mentally. Yeah, mentally was hard for her. She did it from here. She was ready. She built herself sufficient inner confidence to make that inner shift from a cellular level. Yeah, we all have these guides. We just have to have this clear perception, and to see and to understand, yeah, this is it. So this is why right now is the last preparations for the next year, for the hero's journey that we'll have in the next year. So if we prepare ourselves like, okay, I'm going to have an year of experience, but experience that is beneficial for me, and it will feel good, and it will be with joy, because be careful what you wish, because if you just wish experience, maybe something bad will happen. I know someone who wished this and ended in hospital. And then of course said to also in his courses about what happened, and be specific with what kind of experience you want in the next yearly cycle. So we really need to be prepared for those shifts. Yeah, so to really make changes, inner changes in our life. And if you don't know how to do inner changes, get back to the activation sequence. It really shows you, yeah, the path of challenge, how you perceive and stimuli from the exterior, and how you react to them. Yeah, and it really help you to get to this. And mentally, mind is just if you try mentally to force this outcome, you will not get there. Yeah, this will come through experience. If you put yourself in sufficient experiences, you'll learn. Yeah, it's like me with the guitar. I have a guitar right here. Yeah, and as I practice, and after this clip I will practice, if I practice, I get better. It's experience. Yeah, more experience, of course, better results. Oh, okay. So I want to tell you another thing about this. I'm reading my contemplation to find it. It's long. It's really your choice how you're going to live this next yearly cycle. You can do it from the wounded person, from the victim, or you can do it from this place of perception, of penetrating perception that of course penetrates any illusion. It's your choice. Yeah, because people say I don't have time, I'm too busy, I don't have energy to do this, and this shows clearly that those people buried themselves in distractions. Yeah, so they really feel limited by time and space, and they really can't breathe. Uh, so this is why people can't say stop to their repetitive stories, and they stay in the same chapter, and we feel it when we stay in the same chapter. We don't feel good. Our body shakes. It isn't really a good thing. This is why the 56 Jingi has the gift of enrichment. It shows us when we get into experiencing life, into living life openly. We don't really have to act much, but living because life comes to us. Yeah, we just have to open to the experiences. When we do that, we enrich our life. We feel more joy. So for me, enrichment is distractions that give us joy, real joy, authentic joy, not that pseudo joy, that fake joy that we feel when we run from our stuff, from our life. Um, so the 56 Jinkies gift enrichment is about acting from conscious, from love, from joy, and less from reflex. I found out that I have this reflex to really watch my phone. I feel that many people have this, to really, I don't know, scroll through Facebook or through stories, and not really have a focus on this. And I realized that this doesn't bring me joy. It just creates more agitation, and I don't really feel good by doing this. So why do I do it? So I made the decision to when I wake myself from being a zombie that scrolling on the mobile telephone, to stop and to start an action that will get me joy, or just simply to bore myself. Because as Richard Rudd says it, and it's a wonderful thing that he said, uh, uh, when people really understand boredom, our native genius really arises when we really feel bored, because from boredom will come something. Yeah, will come something, and if we feel joy in doing that, authentic joy, we do it. If I feel joy in playing the guitar, I will play the guitar. Yeah, it will feed my soul, because otherwise we'll feel hungry all the time, and nothing will satisfy. Money, relationship, nothing will satisfy this hunger. Yeah, because aren't really containing this boredom. Yeah, so when we contain boredom, when we let it be, we really can have a life of joy. So we run away from boredom to have joy, and we can't find joy. But if we stay with our boredom, we'll find joy, or joy will find us. So it's really paradoxical, but true for me, and I also feel for everyone. I think. Um, so the message is that we really must enjoy our life. If we live, why don't we enjoy it? And to really see what distracts us and what limits us from living a really good life inside. So if you want to follow this example to act from joy, I encourage you to do this. For me, it really made my life better. It doesn't mean I don't find myself scrolling through Facebook. Oh yes, I find myself, but I wake up, and when I wake up, I say, okay, this is this is a pattern. I'm not going to do this because I don't really like that. Um, so the year is coming, yeah, the new yearly cycle. It's a choice for you and for everyone, um, because the 60 jinki is there. It's the seed of the 60th jinki, the justice, um, really shows us there is a mathematical precision in life, in causality, because nobody gets away from effects of his or her own causes. And the 56 jinki comes and sweetens the deal, because puts this causality, puts this abrupt mathematics into a story, yes, into a hero's journey. So then we discovered that the most realist way to overcome our limits is to play our role fully, to intoxicate ourselves, the city of the 56 jinki, with things that enrich our life, to love our role, to love the game, to be so profoundly absorbed by the game that the game will show us the way out. This is another profound thing that I've really felt. Yeah, so we must really love this game so much that the game says, okay, I'm so tired with you, get out. Of course, I'm speaking metaphorically. So I encourage you to live your life fully, but from joy in the next yearly cycle, and to get through the trials that will come with joy, and let them be joyous trials for everyone. Okay, this I think was a longer contemplation than usual. I wish you all the best. See you next week. We'll talk about the 41st Jinki and the 31st Jinki. Bye bye.